It's time for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO and on the Civic Media app. Sully's College Football Page is brought to you by the Hilltop Bar, Advantage Insurance, Tommy's Express Car Wash, Dwayne's Cover It All, Buck's Golf Shop, Jim Kreshock Jewelry, Big Fat Design, Sun Printing, Lot Nose, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, Mensner Hardwoods, Krasowski Dental, the Cloverville Credit Union, France Propane, Subway, Webco of Wausau, the Kuhn Hearing Center, Carmelo's and Rip Mountain Golf Course, Joe Rader Towing, the Dirks Group, the Intermission Lounge, the Brokaw Credit Union, Champion Insurance, Trap River Golf Club, Central Wisconsin School of Ballet, Red Clover Market, Mountain Bay Auto Care, Charlie's Bar, the People's State Bank, the Mint Cafe, North End Pub, and the Travel Leaders. It's time now for Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, the Civic Media app, and of course you can also watch and hear the show by going to youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. You can go to our YouTube channel and watch and listen, and also go back and watch any of the previous episodes of Sully's College Football Page as well. I am Chad Holmes, joined by the man behind Sully's College Football Page, founder and editor Dan Sullivan. Sully, good morning.
Good morning, Chad. And, how was your trip down to the Windy City?
It was fun. It was beautiful. The weather was great, so I was able to walk around right in the heart of Chicago and see so much of the city, and the broadcaster went to the Broadcast Museum. I sat behind Johnny Carson's desk because they had a big Johnny Carson exhibit. And I went and saw the Blackhawks on Wednesday night. So it was good to get away, but it's also good to be back. And so it's like, I don't know about you, but when I go away, it's like it's fun, but then it's nice to be back in your own bed after.
Yeah, and I spent a lot of time in my youth running around Brush Street in Chicago. Joliet had closed down, and up we'd go to the city. And I'll tell you, always great experiences up there. But the one thing I do not miss is the traffic.
Yes, I held my breath from time to time as I tried to get around, and I was glad that I kind of parked a little away from the United Center, because as I was walking by, there was a lot of horns honking as people tried to get out.
There were two rules when you drove in the city. One was your hand on the horn, and the other one was your foot on the gas.
Exactly right. But hey, we're in the middle of November. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the regular season, getting closer and closer to the playoffs, both in the FCS and also, of course, in the what do they call it? What is the terminology for the big one?
Oh, the college football playoff.
Yeah, what's the division? Because you have the football championship series. Is there any terminology, or just the college football playoff?
And Chad, you're right to be confused. Look, there is the FBS, which is the football bowl subdivision.
There you go.
But even that is not accurate anymore, because they have a playoff. However, from the NCAA's perspective, there is no playoff. This tournament
is outside the
realm.
Outside.
It's sanctioned by the NCAA, but it is not sponsored. The highest level of football championship playoff that they would have would be at the college football championship level. Yeah.
Well, let's jump right in. Real quickly, there, of course, is always games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Maction.
Yeah, there you go. Anything jump out? I know that I would say last night, Clemson finally getting a big win. I mean, that was a big loss for Jeff Brom in Louisville, losing to Clemson by 20-19 last night.
I got to tell you, I watched the game, and Chad, it was a game of ineptitude for a Jeff Brom coach team. The number of mistakes and the lack of discipline Louisville showed was almost shocking. It was like Clemson was saying, "Here, you win it," and Louisville was saying, "No, no, no, you win it." No, it was just a comedy of errors. Both teams are playing hard, and I think both teams are feeling the pressure. Clemson wants to get to a bowl. They do not want to have a losing record. And Louisville was playing for a spot in the ACC championship. And the game back and forth. And at the end, Clemson had the ball where they could take a knee. So I was watching to see if they were going to drop the ball or do something because of the way that game ended. Hard-fought game, to be sure.
And the other major game last night, and coming off their thriller last week when they knocked off Iowa on the road on the last play of the game. No letdown for Oregon. They rolled past the Gophers 42-13.
Yeah, it was like 21-0. And then I think the Gophers kicked a field goal or scored and missed the extra point. And then the closest they got it was 28-13. And then Oregon added a couple more scores, and the game was really not in jeopardy anytime after that first quarter.
Let's jump to the Badgers because we haven't had a chance to say this in a long time. Badgers win, and they earned the 13-10 win over Washington. It was the defense. I mean, man, that defense really made Washington not look good last week.
Yeah, well, you know, they held them to 117 yards rushing and a total under 300. So anytime you're doing that to a Power 4 program, and, you know, you are the one who called this, Chad. A couple of weeks ago, you thought they would get Washington. And the truth with Washington is they are Jekyll and Hyde. You know, they're Dr. Jekyll, all about the right thing at home. And on the road, they're an adventure. But nonetheless, the Badgers, in a situation where mentally you've got so many doubts and so many things have gone wrong, it was impressive that they kept battling and finally got one done.
And the thing about it was, again, it was not a case where Wisconsin did a lot offensively, where they had 48 yards passing in the game. Did see, again, Danny O'Neal got the start for the first time in a while, but he didn't last long. He got banged up, and then they went to the freshman.
Yeah, well, you know, I think people are looking to see that. You know, the Badgers still have a chance to make a bowl game, but they would have to win out, and that would start today with the win over the number 2 or 3, depending where you look, team in the country in Indiana. So while they're still alive, kind of slim here to get to a bowl. But nonetheless, I think the general feeling is give the freshman some experience, put him in and let's see what he can do.
That said, let's talk about this game today, because you talk about you'd like to see them build a little momentum after last week, but this is just such a tough situation to go into Bloomington, to be able to, you know, face an Indiana team that we've talked about has been so consistent in terms of not looking past their opponents. They've been able to keep a laser-like focus on their next opponent. And, you know, yes, you maybe my thought is, you don't want to put a freshman quarterback in a position where he's going to fail. And I think they have to be very careful today. I think that, yes, maybe you want to use them, but we saw even last week, late in the first half, they brought Simmons back out for like the 2 minutes situation. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wisconsin maybe use multiple quarterbacks today.
You know, I think you're right there. You don't want to destroy the kid's confidence because you're not sure how well he recovers, or if he ever recovers, you know, so you need to be careful there. I think that whatever whichever way they decide to go with personnel, they're going to be very careful about how they use him and what they call it, and try to put him in situations that, you know, he can be successful at. The thing is, with this overall series, the Badgers dominated. We've won 41. It's 41-20. 2, and the last 2 games, Indiana has won, but both of them were upsets. Wisconsin was favored in both of those games. So from a historic standpoint, we know how to beat Indiana, and we've beaten them often. Clearly, though, in today's game, you're up against a different animal, and what Signetti has done there is outstanding.
They're going to have to score points. I mean, Wisconsin, Indiana scored a lot of points all season long. Really, the only games that they haven't scored overwhelming amounts was the Iowa game when they still scored 20, which has been more than the Badgers have been able to produce for the most part. The Badger defense, and I have to give them credit because I thought early in the season they were tipping a little bit. They weren't looking quite as solid as we come to expect, but their defense has. I mean, I thought that Oregon game they played really well. Last week, of course, they played really well. They did have, the 34 and the 37 in those games, during the Ohio State and the Iowa games.
Yes.
But at the same time, when you're not getting any help from your offense, the old idea of complementary football.
Yeah, exactly.
I think for them to even be competitive today, that complementary football aspect is going to have to be there. Even if the Badgers don't score a lot, they have to be able to move the sticks, be able to keep that Indiana offense off the field at least for a significant amount of time.
And the thing that people may not recognize, because Mendoza gets so much, their quarterback gets so much of the conversation, they're really good defensively. Indiana is very good. And Chad, I heard a guy say what you say, that they scored 20 points in that game, and they held, but actually it was 22 because they scored a safety for, remember Mendoza in that game ran back. It was 18 to so you're right. He said 18 and the guy said 20. Because they scored 2 points.
No, they won 20 to 15 in that game.
Yes, and it was 20.
I see. You're saying that they scored 18 points offensively.
Yeah, and then they scored 2 for Iowa.
Call me old-fashioned. I look at what's on the scoreboard, and it all comes together.
Well, yeah, and not only are you're right. Anyway, this is a really good team, and they are clearly on a collision course to get to Indy and to potentially play an Ohio State team who really has only one real challenge left on paper, and that would be Michigan.
Well, last week, Indiana, they had to finally play right down to the end and had to find a way to come from behind and win it, and they did so. And we're going to talk about that game and the other Big Ten games coming up after we take a quick timeout. More of Sully's college football page coming up here on 98.9 WXCO.
Choose an agency with true 5G coverage. Advantage Insurance of Wausau. Great companies, great agents, great service, great rates, and great claims results. At Advantage Insurance, they support our local community and back you always. Call Advantage Insurance today for all of your insurance needs, or go to AdvantageInsuranceWausau.com. They offer top-rated coverage and the best agents that provide you a true 5G experience for the best total coverage for all your insurance needs.
Chief, we've got a situation.
What is it?
Trouble at the naval base, sir. I'll put it on the screen.
Jiminy Christmas, what happened to all our boat covers?
That's not the worst of it, sir.
No!
Afraid so, sir.
Not the boat upholstery, too. All those holes? It looks like Swiss cheese.
It's funny you mention that, sir. We found the culprit.
All right, Mouse, who are you working for? The Russians? Take him to the brig and get Agent Dwayne from CIA on the horn now.
Dwayne's covered all. Dwayne speaking.
Agent Dwayne, your country needs you. A terrorist mouse has chewed up every single boat cover and piece of upholstery in the Navy.
I'll patch up what I can and replace what I can't.
Agent Dwayne, you're a great American.
Just doing my job.
Boat covers, seat upholstery, camper, deck, or patio awnings. When you need something covered or upholstered, call the CIA. Dwayne's Cover It All. Commercial accounts are welcome. Call or email Dwayne. Visit Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
It takes a lot to impress us at Jim Krishock Jewelers. I mean, we see gorgeous diamonds, gemstones, and incredible jewelry every day that we've chosen for our selection. But when a diamond jewelry line like this one comes along, well, our eyes really widen up and our mouths drop open and our hearts beat a little faster. Yours will too when you stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection of diamonds and diamond jewelry. Their slogan is bigger, brighter, whiter. And it's a difference you can see, which is the most important. Each Fire and Ice diamond is cut to maximize the performance of light coming into and leaving the diamonds to create amazing sparkle and brilliance. So whether you're planning on getting engaged or upsizing your current diamond, or just want something completely new with more sparkle and dazzle than you've ever seen before, stop in and check out our Fire and Ice collection. It's exclusively available right here at Jim Krishock Jewelers at our one and only location on Rib Mountain Drive in Wausau.
Joe Rader Towing in Wausau offers 24-hour-a-day towing, lockout service, and roadside assistance throughout central Wisconsin. You can count on Joe Rader's experienced team to get to you fast. Family owned and operated. When you need a tow, call Joe at 715-212-4762.
The Intermission Bar, located in the heart of downtown Wausau, is a warm, friendly, comfortable spot to enjoy time with old friends and meet new ones as well. Free live music 3 nights a week featuring some of the Midwest's finest talent. The Intermission, a social establishment.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, and again on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes, and let's talk about what happened last week in the Big Ten, and another very interesting week. Boy, a couple of just nail biters that had significance in the conference and the national championship race. But looking at some of the action, the Ohio State Buckeyes continue to just cruise along, both offensively and defensively. Purdue, as we talked about last week, has from time to time caused a little bit of a hiccup for Ohio State over the years, but no such problem last week. Ohio State stays perfect, beating Purdue 34-10. And again, boy, the pass percentage and the numbers from Ohio State last week throwing the football reminded me of their game against Wisconsin a few weeks ago. Very, very efficient was Ohio State.
Yeah, Sand was 27 of 33, completes 82% of his passes. If the floor is 60, 82 is significantly near the ceiling. So good job there by him. And Ohio State is arguably the best team right now in the country. And I think you could also make a very good argument that they are also the best program. This year, there really don't seem to be a lot of weaknesses on offense. They can certainly throw the ball with Sand and Smith and the receivers they have. They're able to run the ball as well. Their O-line is good and their defense is great. So anytime you're in with them, you're in trouble. And Purdue didn't look like the Purdue of the last couple of years. They actually were involved in the game.
Oh, and I mentioned earlier, complementary football. That's one thing that Ohio State seems to have that even some of the other top teams don't have, is the true complementary aspect. So often in this era, when you see a great defense, it does not mean it's a great offense, or when you have a great offense, it doesn't mean a great defense. It seems like both sides of the football are kind of working together for Ohio State, and that's why they are a tough out as we get over the next 2 months.
And the thing about them, Chad, is, and you've talked about this as well, with NIL, teams are losing depth. They don't have the same guys. Ohio State doesn't seem to have that problem right now. They can bring guys in, and they're playing at a very high level down into the roster.
Oregon and Iowa. We talked about Oregon last night having a much easier time against Minnesota, but the game in Iowa City was, I think, what we expected. And Iowa battled. They took the lead late, but then when Oregon needed to make the plays, they made the plays. They were able to drive it downfield and execute the field goal and win it 18-16. And again, it was not that wetness causes any issue for Oregon because they're used to playing in the Pacific Northwest. But at the same time, it was not the perfect conditions. And yet when the chips were down, they were able to do the job.
And it was an epic battle. You know, what Oregon does among the elite in the country play offense, and what Iowa does in the elite in the country play defense. So the game had kind of an epic tone to it at the end, and Oregon found a way, driving like whatever that was, 50, 60 yards to kick that field goal. So they earned this win, and Iowa was a very, very tough out in that game.
And that's got to just be, you think about the coaches and how much they put into it every single week. And for Iowa this year to feel like, man, that game against Iowa State, a 50-plus yard field goal, loses it in the final moments. Yeah. And then to have that game against Indiana where you have an opportunity to, again, make just an amazing move into the mix for the playoff. And now, again, another game where it goes down to the wire and they lose. Those are the ones where, you have 3 losses now for Iowa, and it could have been a magical season. Instead, now it's a 3-loss season, and their hopes of being in the playoff are gone.
Yeah, they're probably, if you give the opponent the benefit of the doubt, they're probably 2 plays in each of those games away from sitting there unbeaten. So Phil Parker, am I saying it right? Phil Parker, the D coordinator, I got to tell you, that guy does as good a job on that side of the ball as anybody in the country. And that was the intrigue in that game. Now you got Danny Lanning, one of the really good offensive minds, and Parker going at it at the end. So everything about that game was great. And it's one of those games where you hate to see somebody lose.
By the way, when you talk about Lanning, Oregon, they kind of got lucky that the guy left for Miami, Cristobal.
Yes.
I mean, in the end, you think, oh, he came in there and it looked like he was turning around, then he leaves. That's a bad thing for a program. In the end, Oregon, I think, got lucky because they actually have a better coach right now than Miami does.
Well, if you think of them, Oregon would never vote for a presidential candidate from Florida. Because Willie Taggart, who was their coach, if you remember a few years ago, left to go to Florida State, I believe.
Yep.
Then they get Cristobal, and he leaves to go to Miami. And I'm with you. The guy they have now is not only a better coach, he's clearly a better coach and seems to be happy and willing to stay at Oregon. I got to think that the life for your family out in Oregon, given the amount of money he has access, they can do anything they want to do and live in a very slower paced, kind of user-friendly, beautiful part of the country. So
you don't think Taggart wishes he was still at Oregon?
I think, I think Taggart absolutely does. Cristobal, I think this is Miami's his deal, and he's in a fist fight there. But I'll tell you, they really have got to finish strong, or they're going to be out of the playoffs.
Is Taggart coaching now?
I want to say he was at like one of the Florida schools, like Florida Atlantic, and then he got let go there as well. So I'm not sure. I would guess that he is either an assistant somewhere in the NFL or he's at the college level, assisting.
I will have to look that up at some point here. Another massive game. And we heard about Indiana earlier when we talked about their game against Wisconsin, and they were able to beat Penn State 27-24. And again, when you look at the records and everything else, you think, oh, that's going to be a blow. No. I mean, I don't think I'm not shocked. It was a game that Penn State could have won, and Penn State, and you have to give them a lot of credit in this incredibly bad run they've had, that they came there and they had a chance to pull off. Again, it would be an upset because of this, because basically if you're a team that wins games or your team that loses games, you are what your record is.
Right.
But as you said, the talent is still there. So they had the opportunity, but like Oregon, Indiana was put into a position where they had to perform at the very end. They haven't had to do that all season long, but they had to drive the football downfield, and they did so. They got the touchdown. It wasn't a field goal this case. They needed to score a touchdown, and they did it in order to stay undefeated.
Well, Dante Moore did it, for Oregon, and then Fernando Mendoza did the same thing for Indiana. And that catch by Omar Cooper in the end zone, when you could see him secure the ball, and while he was in the air, his head went down, and he was looking at the end line where to get in. He gets his foot in. Given the nature and time of the game, that might have been the best catch that we'll see all year, because he went up and secured it, and then he found a way to get a foot down and win that game. So, and you're right, Chad, Penn State's struggling. They're 0-6 right now in the Big Ten. The reality is that roster's still there. The preseason pick to be in the national championship roster for the vast majority of is still there.
Other than quarterback.
Yeah. Well, Aller went down. And, Paboda, his backup from a year ago, he went down either that same week. He's over at Missouri. So both of their quarterbacks from a year ago are now on the IR.
Last Friday, we touched on it last week, but USC did beat Northwestern 38-17. USC is sort of, again, hanging around. They're still there.
They're in the driver's seat. I mean, look at their schedule is perfect. They got Iowa. We'll talk about that later. They got Iowa today. Then next week they go to Oregon. And then they've got, I think they end the season with UCLA, their rival. So if SC wins out, they're going to finish 10-2. They will not automatically, with a 8-1 record in the Big Ten, you'd think you'd be in the championship game, but not when you potentially have two teams that are 9-0. And so, but they are, while not really looking good for the Indianapolis game, they are very much in the hunt for a playoff berth if they can get this done. Now, it's a big task. And I'll tell you, they're up against it tonight because Iowa will defend them. And then Oregon, they got to go there. That'll be, if they win today, that'll be one of the best games next week.
Nebraska wins again. They beat UCLA 28-21. So it looks like again, the Cornhuskers are making it easier on themselves this season as opposed to last year where they had to win and charge the field to celebrate getting 6 wins. I tell you, that was almost embarrassing for Nebraska in my mind. But nevertheless, then again, we could say about Wisconsin, they charged the field because they beat Washington last week. It shows things are not going very well when you're charging the field for your first conference win of the year. But that's a whole different story. But Nebraska beat UCLA and with their backup quarterback.
Yeah, TJ Lateef. How about him? 13-15. Now, they made a lot of safe throws for him, but what a great way for him. Raiola goes down and kind of the doomsayers are out in force. And this kid comes in and does a really good job. He passed for 205 yards, which is certainly respectable. But then how about 3 TDs, no picks? That ratio is outstanding. So kudos to him. And that's a good job by Matty Rule getting his quarterback ready to go. So Nebraska is still going to make some noise in the Big Ten here.
In a huge game for two teams that are trying to get to the magical 6 wins to earn that bowl game. And Rutgers beat Maryland as Maryland's wheels continue to fall off. Rutgers 35, Maryland 20. And Maryland really had no answer for Antoine Raymond, did they?
Yeah, well, he carried the ball 41 times for 240 yards. He only 1 TD. You'd think with that many yards, he'd have been in the end zone a few more times. But this game, Mike Loxley needed this game. We talked about him starting 4-0 on the hot seat. And now they've lost whatever that is, 6 straight, I believe. Yeah. And they're going to have to find a way to try to get bowl eligible. Otherwise, this might be the curtain call for Coach Loxley.
I read a story this week about the Maryland situation. They have a new athletic director who came, who had worked for the Atlanta Braves, and he's trying to really juice up Maryland. that they do have again, they're in the middle of, Baltimore and Washington D.C. and they're fighting against pro teams, but they feel like, hey, we can still make this work. And talking about that, basically he doesn't want to make a change right now. I mean, he didn't say this, but the story was saying that there's a lot on the plate right now, and he doesn't want to have to change football coaches right now. And also there's another aspect to it in this era. They have a very talented freshman class at Maryland. Loxley's brought in, including their quarterback. But if you make a coaching change, they're all gone.
Yes, because in this era, especially in a place like Maryland, where you're in a large population base, and loyalty to the school. Like if you're from a rural town in Pennsylvania, you're probably going to Penn State. But Maryland, and so you need a recruiter. And Loxley, and you and I have talked about this for the last 5 years, the DMV, that DC, Maryland, Virginia area, Loxley does a great job there getting talented players in. Where they've struggled is to get in the O&D line, kind of high functioning guys. If they were to do that, they have the players on the perimeter typically to win games. So I hope he stays. I've always liked him. He's a great success story after what he experienced out in New Mexico. He went with Saban, and now he's been doing good work there. So hopefully they find a way to give him another year.
Absolutely. And so that's what happened last week in the Big Ten Conference. We're going to take a time out and look ahead to the games this week in the Big Ten Conference coming up next as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
I only travel once or twice a year, but when I do, I go big. Exotic places, incredible hotels, new experiences. It has to be memorable. That's why I call Travel Leaders of Wausau. They get me. And they take care of all the details, so I don't have to worry about a thing.
Travel Leaders gets you, and we get you there. Travel better. Call Travel Leaders of Wausau at 715-355-4437.
And can't forget the sandals and the right sunglasses.
Hello, my name is Steve Brickner. Here at Brickner Motors in Little Chicago, we'll help you order your brand new Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, or Jeep and get it equipped the way you want it and the color you've always dreamed of. That means you won't overpay for something you don't want. Quality vehicles and competitive prices are what keep people coming back again and again. Make the drive out to Brickner Motors on Little Chicago's northeast side and let our family take care of your family.
You can count on us. Yes, you can.
The Kuhn Hearing Center is a family-owned and operated hearing care facility located at 1699 Schofield Avenue, Suite 106 in Schofield. Dr. Tim Kuhn has been practicing audiology in the greater Wausau-Weston area for 26 years. Dr. Kuhn works closely with several audiology agencies, including Signia Hearing Aids and Accessories, which provides access to the latest and most advanced technologies in the hearing industry. For more info, check them out online at kuhnhearing.com or call 715-298-5511.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Experience a culinary journey at Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing. Indulge in our unique supper club atmosphere and savor mouth-watering steaks, seafood, pasta, and sandwiches. Join us for an unforgettable dining experience. Oliva's at Gulliver's Landing, Gadwall Lane in Wausau. And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. With Sully, I'm Chad Holmes. Time to look at this week's action in the Big Ten. Earlier, we talked about Oregon beating Minnesota last night, 42-13. So Oregon gets to put their feet up for the rest of the weekend as they move to 9-1 overall, 6-1 in the conference. Gophers fall. But it's still been a solid season for Minnesota, but both those teams for Minnesota, long trip to Oregon, so they get to come home and chill out for the weekend as well. So looking at today's action, let's start with Purdue and Washington. And all of a sudden, Washington, and it wasn't just last week, Washington's offense, as you talked about, this Jekyll and Hyde, they've been good at home. I mean, they looked so good against Illinois at home a few weeks ago, putting up yardage and points. And these road games, Michigan, they only scored 7 points. Wisconsin, they only scored 10 points. Ohio State, I think they were in single digits as well, if I'm not mistaken. That was a home game, actually. But this offense has been Jekyll and Hyde for Washington, and now 3-3 in the conference, 6-3 overall. They better get well against the Boilermakers.
Yeah, and if you remember the Ohio State game, when the Bucks went out there to play them, the Huskies had won 22 straight at home, and that was a very competitive game, and I think the Bucks ended up scoring 22, and whatever Washington had, I don't know if they were at 10 or whatever, or 7, but Ohio State was able to control the game with their defense, because they are formidable. When we're talking about we're talking about Washington at home, Chad. And so Purdue is going to get the Jekyll side of Washington because they're traveling out to Husky Stadium. The Huskies lead the series here. They've played 10 times. Washington has won 7, Purdue twice, and then they have a tie.
I don't think Purdue is going to turn into Wisconsin in the Barry Alvarez era, but what they're doing this year reminds me of Barry's first year. Barry only won 1 game his first year when he came to Wisconsin, but they were so much more competitive than they were previously under Don Morton that you could see the seeds starting to sprout just a little bit. It is, even in this era where you're able to go out there and turn over your team so quickly with this new free agency basically in college football, but at the same time there is still a process where you go from being uncompetitive a year ago to competitive, and then I think for Purdue and Barry Odom, then the next step is to start winning some of these conferences.
Yeah, and I they are on a trajectory to do that. I watched their game last week, and while they got beat solidly, the fact is they played with some machismo. They were in the game. You had a clear sense that was an organized team, and even though they were getting pushed around because of the discrepancy in talent, they were not embarrassed, or embarrassing themselves. They played hard the whole time. Their organization, in and out, the offense, the defense, the special teams was good. Barry Odom is getting them squared away in terms of the structure. Now what he's got to do is he's got to get into the high schools and recruit, and then he's got to make some good choices with the NIL dollars.
Iowa and USC, and it's a tough spot for Iowa. I mean, they had they laid it out there last week against Oregon. And we talked about the fact that game they needed to win to keep their hopes of getting to the playoff alive. They didn't. And now you have the long trek over to the Coliseum, the new Big Ten Conference, these very long road trips, and a USC team that has everything still to play for as well. It just feels like this is going to be if anybody can handle it, he's seen it all, is Kirk Ferentz, but this is a big test for Iowa, isn't it?
They're going to have to pressure Maeva. They cannot let that kid stand back there. They've got, with Lemon and with Lane, those 2 receivers are otherworldly. I mean, they are really good. And, Iowa's going to play a lot of zone. And, so they're going to have to make Maeva uncomfortable. And then this Cam Miller has, their running back at SC has kind of stepped up. He was their 3rd string running back, and he is really playing well. So Iowa is going to be up against it. They're coming off a very difficult loss at home. But if anybody is the face of consistency, and if anybody will bring it, and stay consistent with their effort, it's that Iowa team. This is one of the day's best games, I think.
Michigan and Northwestern, and Michigan 7-2, 5-1 in the conference. Maybe not as impressive as previous Michigan teams, but they still find ways to win almost every week. And Northwestern, again, 5-4, almost to that bowl level again, 3-3 in the conference. been, I think, a very solid season for Northwestern in this game, of course, being played at 11 o'clock at Northwestern. And sometimes that's thought of as the tough matchup because so often the energy level is not quite there at Northwestern for an 11 a.m. game. So Michigan will have to bring their own juice.
Yeah, and this is a long-lived series.
Oh, by the way, real fast, I should correct myself. I don't think you have to worry maybe about that energy because this game is being played at Wrigley.
Oh, is that Wrigley tonight?
Yep. I forgot that this game is being played at Wrigley Field. So,
well, being a White Sox fan, I never mentioned that word. But anyway, these teams first played, Chad, all the way back to 1892. They had a game in Chicago, which I must say the Cats did take care of the Wolverines in that game. They beat them 10-8. Michigan needs to stay focused because they are right there. If they were to beat Ohio State, if they win out, they've got 2 losses, but only 1 in the conference. So if Ohio State goes through the entire season and loses that game at the end to Michigan, then I don't know what's going to happen with the championship game because SC, if they win out, they would also be 8-1, and they would have given Michigan their 1 loss. Michigan would have given the 8-1 Ohio State. So you're going to have to go to the tiebreakers, and then Indiana sitting there unbeaten. So anyway, important game for them, and I think Michigan, like we always say, defense travels. And as good a job as Dave Brom has done with Northwestern, they're up against it today.
Maryland at Illinois. Terps have lost 5 games in a row. Illinois 6-3, 3-3. Illinois had a good W last time out, sort of resettle things after a little bit of a struggle. Game being played in Champaign. But at the same time, it just feels like Maryland, they're getting to the point they got to win. And it's not as though they have any, they got to find a way to win 2 of these last 3 games and take a little heat off Loxley. And for Illinois, again, they're just trying to improve their bowl stock because with 3 losses, they're not going to the playoff.
Yeah, and this is only the 4th meeting between these schools. Maryland leads the series 2-1. Maryland comes in having lost 5 in a row. Illinois won the last meeting in 23 in a very close game. These games have always been competitive. I think right now Illinois has the overall better team, more complementary D to O special teams. So you got to think that Illinois in this game would be in good shape, and they are favored by 15.5. However, Chad, the simulator says in terms of categories assessed, it's even. Each team wins 4 of the assessed 8 categories.
You have 2 proud programs who are looking for their first conference win. You got Penn State at Michigan State. Both are 3-6 overall. Both are 0-6 in the conference. And boy, nobody would think that when Penn State and Michigan State would meet at this point of the season, neither would have a Big Ten win.
Yeah, the fact that they're both 0-6, Michigan State is a surprise. Penn State is a heart attack. I mean, you're thinking that ain't right. That's a misprint. So you miswrote that. They're both 0-6. So we did put them in the 10-game challenge to see who's going to get their first Big Ten win. We're going to see now what Penn State's got left in the tank, because that loss last week was gut-wrenching. Now they're on the road. They're at a Michigan State team whose coach is under, you identified that a few weeks ago, with Jonathan Smith having some issues. And, from what you read, when you first mentioned that, I was unaware of that. But I've been reading of late, and it looks like there is not a possibility, but it's looking more like a probability that he'll be gone at the end of this year.
And then UCLA at Ohio State, and OSU, perfect. UCLA, after that little bump after the coaching change, has lost a couple of games. They're 3-6, but still 3-3 in the conference. But again, Ohio State looks like, much like Indiana this year, kind of a machine.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this will be the 10th meeting between these teams. And I was shocked to see that it's 4-4-1. That the series
Actually, not shocked because, when you think about it, remember all those years where the Pac-10 would always win the Rose Bowl, and that's where these teams would meet.
and that's what like initially I thought that ain't right. But then, I started to reflect back to guys like Gary Beeman, who won the Heisman in 67, even though we all know Leroy Keys should have won it. But anyway, you think back to those years where the Big Ten just struggled in the Rose Bowl, and UCLA at that time was able to get there with a frequency, not like SC, but in the mix. And so then, the split here at 4-4-1, it starts to make sense.
So that's a look at the Big Ten coming up. Another interesting week in the Big Ten Conference, kicking off at 11 o'clock, and then games throughout the afternoon and the evening. Coming up, we're going to start our rankings as getting closer to the playoffs. Also in the FCS, we'll talk about Sully's top 15 in the FCS, and then we'll have more rankings later in the show as well. It is Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Thinking about changing to organic or natural foods? Then you need to stop at Red Clover Market at the Total Rental location in Weston. Family-owned Red Clover Market, your healthy natural food store. Open Monday through Saturday. Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258.
For more than 60 years, Sun Printing has been Central Wisconsin's commercial printer of choice due to their commitment to quality, creative solutions, and dedicated service. Sun Printing's team offers you a wide spectrum of services. Whether you need offset, digital, large format, graphic design, or mailing, they print everything under the sun. No project is too big or too small. So give Sun Printing a call at 845-4911 or visit them online at sunprinting.com.
Since 1981, Lopno's has been Wausau's favorite sports bar. Grab a bit of Wausau's past while you're watching your favorite sports teams at their historic turn-of-the-century establishment. Lopno's is the perfect place to catch all the sports action on their 15 enormous flat-screen TVs, enjoy a night on the town with friends, or have a celebration in their private party room. A great place for birthdays, anniversaries, clubs, or meetings. Lopno's, Wausau's oldest and finest sports bar, 3rd Street, Wausau.
For over 40 years, Champion Insurance has been helping business owners protect themselves. They also offer protection for your home, auto, and other personal assets as well. Local family owned and operated. Champion Insurance. They got you covered. Schofield Avenue, Schofield.
Come on down to Cheeks Bar and Grill on East Wausau Avenue in Wausau. Open for dine-in or takeout Tuesday through Friday, 2 p.m. till close. Saturday, 12 p.m. till close. Sunday, 12 until 8 p.m. Check them out on Facebook, and we hope to see you at Cheeks Bar and Grill in Wausau.
It's Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO, 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app, and on YouTube, youtube.com, and the 98.9 WXCO channel. And this week, as we go into our rankings, the FCS top 16.
I got to tell you, I was having a hard time separating South Dakota State, which shockingly is down to 15th, from North Dakota. Not North Dakota State, mind you, North Dakota. Those four teams, South Dakota, North Dakota, and then the respective state universities, those four teams are all playing at a pretty high level. And so we decided, given the fact that North Dakota played North Dakota State so close that we needed to keep them in the top. So instead of 15, we have 16 teams, a tie at 15.
All right, well, let's start with the two 15s. And you said it, North Dakota and South Dakota State. North Dakota 6-4, South Dakota State 7-3, and we spoke about those rivalry games last week. And North Dakota taking on North Dakota State, South Dakota State against South Dakota, and in the end, they were one-score games.
Yeah, in South Dakota, whose record right now is like 6-4, where North or 5-5 maybe. North Dakota. 6-4, we ranked them. South Dakota actually beat South Dakota State. So in the last 3 weeks, they've lost to South Dakota, who is a good club, no question there. And yet they lost to Indiana State, who has struggled mightily in the Missouri Valley. In fact, I think Illinois State beat them the last week, like 42-10. So it was a really shocking performance by South Dakota State, and therein lies. We're keeping them ranked, but just barely.
Mercer, number 14, 8-1, a thriller over Western Carolina, 49-47.
This team keeps winning, and I hate to be the glass half full, Chad, but I go back to the Presbyterian game. Presbyterian has given Mercer the mighty SoCon, the Southern Conference, one of the great conferences in the SCS. Its leader lost to Presbyterian, who typically struggles in football. If they keep this up, we're going to have to schedule a game with Presbyterian in either Boston College or Notre Dame, so we get the Presbyterians playing the Catholics.
Well, the way Boston College is playing, they might have trouble this year.
They may not want to schedule that game.
Number
right?
13, Villanova from the CAA, 7-2. They beat Towson 28-10. And up next, Stony Brook. And real interesting that I see that Villanova, 11.5-point favorites in that game, but your simulator says it's a coin flip.
Yeah, the simulator doesn't know anything about where the game is being played, who the numbers are earned against. It just knows what the numbers tell it. And right now, the simulator is saying, when you look at 8 categories that we assessed, total offense, rushing, passing, turnovers, and such, it's even. Stony Brook which is a New York school, by the way, for people who aren't sure where they're from, would be able to compete with Villanova. That said, Villanova, in terms of the real world, is actually a little better club and should be able to get this done.
Number 12, Stephen F. Austin, 8-2 after beating Houston Christian, and they have Lamar next.
Yeah, this will be a good game. Lamar's having a good year. It's also, I believe, a Texas school, and so there's going to be some familiarity here. They're going to be getting after this one, and the favorite in this game is Stephen F. Austin, not Sam Houston. They've subsequently left. They're playing in the FBS now. But nonetheless, Stephen Austin is, a 13.5-point favorite.
Rhode Island, number 11, they're 8-2 after beating Elon 34-20. They take on the Mare Bears next.
Yes, yeah, they are. They're playing in their league, and right now they're 8-2. In Rhode Island, this club every now and then will emerge in the Coastal Athletic Association. They so not a surprise, but they're not here every year. So this has been a good year for them.
UC Davis is number 10 from the Big Sky. They're 7-2 after beating the Vandals of Idaho 28-14. And up next, a significant battle. They travel to Montana State.
Yeah, they're up against it now, but don't sell them short. The thing, as you record games with them, they're always good defensively. This team seems to have kind of a toughness to it, and they will line up with the Montanas, with the Montana States. A few years ago, when Eastern Washington had it going, they won a championship, and they play on a red field, and the grammatologists or whatever those guys that study that stuff said it's going to turn pink. It has not yet from the moisture. But nonetheless, this team brings it defensively. And while they will do that again today, I think they're up against it with Montana State.
Number 9 is Monmouth, who's 8-2 after losing to New Hampshire 34-13. They have North Carolina A&T coming up next.
Yeah, and that game was considered an upset. I think things started going wrong, and Monmouth was unable to correct it. So we kept them in the top 10 at 8-2.
Number 8, Presbyterian, now 8-2. They lost to Davidson 14-13. I think Steph Curry hit a big shot at the end to win it for Davidson. But
Yeah.
Presbyterian next is taking on St. Thomas.
Yeah, and St. Thomas is favored. I'm very anxious to see this game. Now, St. Thomas, as you remember, was part of that league with the one at college, St. John's, and then some other teams in that Missouri State Conference. And people got so aggravated with them because apparently their coach basically said when he was accused of running up the scores, you got to defend yourselves, which I thought was an interesting comment. But nonetheless, they're favored in this game. So this is a game, Chad. While there's a lot of great games going on today, I'm interested to see how Presbyterian can hold up against the Tommies.
Number 7, Tarleton State, 9-1 after a rout of 55-7 against Northern Colorado. And next up, 3-6, Weber State.
Yeah, that was a big win for them. Northern Colorado's in the Big Sky, so it's a step up. They are having an outstanding year. It's another Texas team. And it'll be interesting to see when this tournament unfolds. They're going to get the bid as to how they are able to, when they get in with the Missouri Valley or the Coastal Athletic Big Sky teams.
Number 6, Montana State from the Big Sky, 7-2. They roughed up Weber State 66-14. Next up, a trip to South Dakota.
Yeah, this will be a challenge for them, and kind of building their way back. I saw the AP ranks them 3rd. They're looking at them and saying, no, this is a much better team than you're saying on Sully's college football page. We are in part, you are what your record says you are, for the most part. We look at who you've played and such as well. But nonetheless, big game for them, and I think a game where they're going to start to assert themselves back into the top 5.
Number 5 is undefeated Harvard from the Ivy League, 8-0, beat Columbia 31-14. And next up, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they beat Dartmouth, which was a big win for them. Dartmouth had only has one loss in the Ivy, and it was to Harvard. There's always the game at the end of the year where they have to play Yale. And one of the interesting things here, the attendance with these two schools, one year you'll see Yale's average attendance is 16,000, okay, which is respectable. And then the next year, it'll be 28,000. The reason is the Yale Bowl seats 61,000. And when they play Harvard there, that stadium is sold out. So every other year they get a spike in attendance. But that game is looming. Harvard right now, 8-0, because as you know, they don't start their season until 3 weeks in.
Number 4, Lehigh from the Patriot League is 10-0. They beat Holy Cross 41-0. And up next, Colgate.
Yeah, Lehigh's having a good year. They had a big game earlier with Yale and took care of business. Lehigh's on their way to an undefeated season. However, at the end of the season, they have a bigger rival, I would say, than Yale and Harvard. That game is against Lafayette, which is the oldest rivalry in all of college football.
Number 3, Tennessee Tech, also undefeated, 10-0. They beat Eastern Illinois 21-9. And they step up big time. They go to an SEC team at Kentucky.
Yeah, that will not be good. That will not be good for them. The thing is, we give Tennessee Tech more love than most people do. They play in the Big South Ohio Valley Conference, which is a hybrid. Teams started leaving those conferences, and so they had to combine to have enough teams to have a viable football conference. It's not highly regarded, but nonetheless, Tennessee Tech keeps rolling. They keep winning, and we're we're going to get a good look at them today when they line up against the Cats.
Number 2, Montana, 10-0 on the season after a tight one over Eastern Washington, 29-24. They have a struggling Portland State next.
Yeah, they do. And on the horizon, of course, is Montana State. We're getting towards that rivalry weekend, which is Thanksgiving weekend. Some great games on the horizon here. They should have little difficulty if things go according to Hoyle with Portland State.
And then number 1, North Dakota State, and old-fashioned slobber knocker, 15-10 against the rival North Dakota last week, and they travel to Northern Iowa this week.
Right, and this North Dakota State team, while everybody else, Montana State, South Dakota State, the teams that are the usual suspects at who's going to be coming out on top in this subdivision, have faltered. North Dakota State has not. They have come every week. They got in a fist fight last week with their in-state neighbors who brought it. They were after them, but North Dakota State found a way. Very good team, and I think little argument that they are the best team in the FCS.
All right,
subdivision.
So that is the top 15, or I should say top 16 in the FCS this week. We will have more rankings coming up with the group of 5 and the Power 4 later in the show. But coming up next, as we always do to start off our number 2, it is the 10-game challenge, as Sully will be battling one of his sponsors and supporters of Sully's college football page. And who do we got coming up?
Well, we got Johnny Krasowski here today. Johnny runs a dental office here in Wausau. As far as I'm concerned, he's as good or better than any dentist in our city. Been going to John for years. And, I don't see him yet, so maybe he's going to call in. We'll have to see.
Well, we'll be on the edge of our seats, and we'll see if we got John Krasowski coming in just a couple of minutes as we continue here on Sully's College Football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Buck Welsh has been working in the golf business since 1976, became a PGA member in 1984, and has been teaching for over 40 years. His philosophy has always been to work with the individual golfer, building on the way they do things and making them better with what they have to work with. Call Buck at 715-581-2646 or check out the website www.bucksgolfshop.com to get more info about lessons.
Eye Clinic of Wisconsin believes that clear vision and hearing are priceless. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin is equipped to handle all your eye and hearing care needs. When you need specialty and surgical eye care, why not work with the best? Let the team of professionals at Eye Clinic of Wisconsin see you. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin has 7 convenient locations that include Wausau, Amtigo, Medford, Merrill, Rhinelander, Stevens Point, and Wisconsin Rapids. Visit their Facebook page or website at www.eyeclinicwi.com. Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, one vision, yours.
As a proud member of the Wausau Marathon, Edgar, and Athens communities, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home has built a reputation for having a deep commitment to personal service. When you need compassionate concern and expert guidance day or night, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home is the one to call. You can trust them to take care of every detail at a time it matters most. Located in Wausau, Marathon, Edgar, and Athens, Peterson Kramer Funeral Home, friends you've trusted and depended on since 1914. Krasowski Dental offers the most effective cosmetic and neuromuscular dentistry procedures and treatments. When you walk through the doors, you'll experience an incredibly comfortable and pleasant atmosphere where you'll be treated like family. Krasowski Dental offers 24-hour emergency service and care so you don't have to wait, and offers many of the newest dental technologies and perks to make your dental experience comfortable and less stressful. Schedule your appointment now with Krasowski Dental, North 17th Avenue, Wausau.
Don't you just love a good football game? Don't you just love a new car or a new truck or a new motorcycle? And don't you just love saving money? Then you'll love Clover Belt Credit Union, your go-to team for saving money with a great rate vehicle loan. Great rates are what make Clover Belt the leader in vehicle loans. Cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs. If it's got a motor and it rolls on wheels, Clover Belt Credit Union has the great rate financing you want. Give us a call and we'll get your great rate loan rolling. Clover Belt Credit Union, your team for great rates.
The Dirks Group started in 1999 as an alternative to traditional IT service providers. From the start, they focused on customized solutions for the needs of each client. Today, they serve over 400 customers from locations in Wausau and Eau Claire. Go to dirksgroup.com for more information.
Charity's Bar in Marathon City. Great food, great service, a great place to meet friends. Come on down and watch the game or just hang out. It's Charity's Bar on County Road and in Marathon City.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit NewmanCatholicSchools.com to learn more.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.
And welcome back. It's Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. I am Chad Holmes along with Sully, and time for the 10-game challenge. And the seat next to us is empty, but still an opportunity because, you know, no matter what, and sometimes the folks are busy and for whatever reason, in this case, can't make it in, but still appreciate the support that all your sponsors, including Krasowski Dental, give.
Well, John has been with us the whole 12 years or whatever, been a great sponsor. And, you know, in fairness, when I went to see him, he is always so busy, you know, that I talked to his assistant. So I'm now fearful that somehow something got miscommunicated because John, in fact, John is like Dr. Kuhn, who was here a couple of weeks ago, the audiologist, with taking notes. He usually has notes when he comes here. So, but hey, I just want to mention a few things about John, you know, and his sponsorship. He's located at, and I adjust my glasses here, at 50 or 550 North 17th Avenue, right on the corner there of 17th and Bridge. John is a nationwide speaker and clinical instructor for the Las Vegas Institute for Advanced Dental Studies. It's called LIV Global. So they also go outside the country, which I believe John has done. You know, and I told him, Chad, that if he's going to Vegas, we would be willing to go with him and like carry his luggage and do the show from downtown Vegas. But anyway, before we begin, I want to give a big shout out to John and all our sponsors. As a result of their willingness to partner with Sully's College Football Page, we're able to reach our 2024 goal of donating $1,500 to volunteer agencies, schools, and charitable institutions in the Wausau area and beyond. These donations were given to the following: Hager House, the Women's Community, Bridge Street Mission, Newman Catholic Schools, Holy Name Parish, the Good News Project, Maine All-Volunteer Fire Department, the Humane Society, Knock MS Out of the Park, the St. Vincent de Paul Society, the Wausau Free Clinic, the National MS Society, Children's Miracle Network, and St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. So on behalf of all of these services, schools, charities, Bull Falls Radio, and Sully's College Football Page, we would like to give a big thank you to you, John, and to all our sponsors for making these donations possible.
All right, well, let's still go through the top 10 games here. So since Dr. Krasowski isn't here, who are you going to go up against?
You.
All right, so it's time for me to jump back in. By the way, Ian, did you follow along last week? Did you figure out how you did?
The only game I know for sure I was successful on was the Badger game, because my dad and I both said that the Badgers were going to win last weekend, and they did. So far, that's the only game I managed to keep track of.
And that
been
was
more
an
attentive.
insightful pick, Ian, because you guys were in the minority. So way to
That's
go.
family pride.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Michigan State and Penn State. Michigan State hosting the Nittany Lions. And so I get to go first, right?
Yeah, well, you're operating as the guest.
There we go. I'm going to go with Penn State. I think just talent-wise that they have too much. They're still playing. They have played. They've gone through a very tough part of their schedule. I think this is a game that they actually probably feel like, oof, and take a deep breath. Don't face the talent that they've seen in recent weeks. So I do like Penn State.
And I got to tell you, my brother Pat, when I started coaching, said, "Hey, dummy, pay attention. The only way you can get embarrassed as a program, a team, is if you quit. The opposition, even if they beat you 50-0, cannot embarrass you if you continue to play hard." I thought Penn State, it was one of their better moments. They're having a terrible year. Everything that they had hoped for is gone. Their coach is fired, and yet they came out and played like they did a week ago, which to me, Chad, is as good as winning every game you play. Anyway, that said, I'm with you. Penn State finds a way in this game. Both teams are 0-6, trying to get their first Big Ten win. I think Penn State, even though they're at Michigan State, I think they get this done.
Texas A&M and South Carolina. A&M continuing to roll. South Carolina 3-6, but again, it shows just what a thin line it is. They've been very competitive. They've had a chance to win a number of games, but that SEC is a meat grinder. So A&M at home against South Carolina. What do you think?
I'm going with A&M. Last week we kind of pointed out that A&M had not played Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Oklahoma, a lot of teams that are the better teams in that league they had not played. They went into Missouri and just kind of handled them. I think more of the same here. South Carolina, good club, but A&M is on a roll, and they are headed towards an undefeated season.
All right, so next game.
Who you got?
Oh yeah, I got to pick it up too. I like Texas A&M. I just think right now that South Carolina is struggling a little bit, and sometimes when you lose tough games, that can be worse than being blown out. So they can just wear on you a little bit and going on the road. I mean, if it was at South Carolina, then all of a sudden we saw what they did against Alabama a couple of weeks ago in Columbia, but this is too much.
Yeah, and their quarterback has struggled this year.
East Carolina and Memphis from the American, in an interesting matchup as East Carolina comes in with a record of 6-3. Memphis is 8-2, and is games being played at East Carolina, even though they have the worst record. They are actually a slight favorite.
They are
in this game, and it's not an easy one. I'm going to go with the home team. Memphis has been a little bit, they've lost twice. They could have lost a couple of other games. If I go back to the Arkansas game, they miracle win that ultimately led to the firing of Sam Pittman. But I think East Carolina at home will be in a very competitive game. Just have enough.
Well, we're not getting any separation here because I'm with you on East Carolina. This is a program that a lot of people, like in our area, wouldn't know much about. They're in North Carolina, not South Carolina, because if some of you lack of geographic skill sets about the U.S., there is no East Carolina, so don't be looking for it. It's in North Carolina. One year they beat everybody but Wake. They beat NC State, they beat Duke, and they beat North Carolina. This is a good team. Memphis, I'm with you, is reeling. East Carolina finds a way.
Little trivia. East Carolina actually played North Carolina State back-to-back games because last year in the Military Bowl, they beat NC State 26-21. Then they opened the season by losing 24-17 to NC State. So they played back-to-back games against the same opponent.
And evidenced by those scores, the win and then the close, they can line up and play with anybody in North Carolina. And I would say this, North Carolina has great high school football.
Navy and South Florida, another game in the American, another game that features winning teams as both teams come in at 7-2. This game being played in Annapolis. What do you think?
I think Navy. And I'll tell you why. South Florida, who has beaten them, mind you, recently, but there was a history where South Florida and when Central Michigan was playing, not a member of the Big 12 as a Power 4 or Czech as a Group of 5 program, they struggled with Navy because they're so athletic. And, athletes tend to think they can make plays, and that's exactly what Navy counts on. With the eye vision, and you go after the first thing to move. So I'm thinking Navy is able to move the ball, keep it away from South Florida.
I like South Florida. Navy has not stopped anybody recently, even before the last two games where they lost, both the North Texas and Notre Dame, giving up 49 and 31 points. Before that, they gave up 32 in a win against Florida Atlantic, gave up 31 in a 1-point win against Temple, and gave up 31 against Air Force. This is a team that's not been slowing down anybody, so I just think that South Florida will score enough to win.
And that's a good point. And I would say to you, it really then depends on Harvath, Blake Harvath, their quarterback, because Navy's got to stop you with their offense.
Another game from the Atlantic Coast Conference. You got Duke and you got Virginia. And boy, Virginia seems to have that magical go of it right now. They've been able to win every close game that they've been involved in. And Duke has been solid as well this season. It's been a very good year for Manny Diaz. He's been sort of in the periphery of this Penn State coaching discussion, because he does have a little history at Penn State. He coached there. Duke is 5-4, Virginia 8-2. This game being played in Durham. I get to go first here, and I do think that Duke is going to win this game.
I am with you on this. Although last week Duke got beat 37-34 by UConn. Jimmy Mora's team beat him. A huge win for them. Duke is in a very unique position. They can still get to the ACC championship if they win out. Now, here's what the pundits were saying the other day, that James Madison is 8 or 9-1, and they are winning conference, or they're winning the Sun Belt Conference. It is possible that Duke could win the ACC and be ranked lower than 2 Group of 5 conferences. So it could be the ACC could have Duke as its champion, but not qualify because it's not the automatic Power 4 champs. It is the top 5. And if Duke, there are 9 conferences now. So if Duke were to migrate into, they could end up with nothing. With Miami, with 2-loss Miami, getting in over a team who you say always gets left out, Notre Dame.
We got to pick up the tempo here, go into a 2-minute drill. We're running a little behind here, so let's...
We always do it. We're just acting like our guest is here.
I know. And next game is BYU and TCU, and a game being played in Provo. You've been this year consistent that you kind of been saying that BYU may have been performing above their capabilities for much of the year, and it feels like it started to catch up with them just recently. And you get to go first here.
Okay, I'm going to take TCU.
I'm not surprised the way you've been talking about BYU all year long.
Yeah, I just think TCU will find a way in this game. Sonny Dykes, a very good coach, got to the playoffs championship game a couple of years ago. It didn't work out with Georgia, but nonetheless, I think they and don't get me wrong, Kalani Sitake has done great work. I just don't think the depth is that good. And then they started the year without their quarterback.
I'm going to go with BYU because I'm mad at Sonny Dykes for ending the rivalry series with SMU. Because he says they don't
I didn't know they've elected not to play that game.
Especially a guy that came from SMU to say that they don't want to do that anymore. So I'm going with BYU strictly because of that.
Those guys should look at what Georgia and not Alabama, but Georgia and Florida, they continue to play. Georgia Tech, they continue to play Florida State. Clemson and South Carolina continue. Come on, man, play the game.
Pittsburgh and Notre Dame, man, big game. Pittsburgh is right there in that logjam at the top of the ACC. Notre Dame has really been dominant. Another big win last week against Navy. Is it my turn or your turn? I can't even remember. It's like it's my turn actually, because this game is. I really want to pick Pittsburgh. I really do, but
well, then do it.
I got to pick Notre Dame because Pittsburgh is not. They've always disappointed in spots like this in recent years. I got to see them do it first. So I got to go with Notre Dame. They're playing too well.
You know, the funny thing, Narduzzi, he thinks Notre Dame is somewhere between the Mariana Trench and whale manure. He has never thought anything but evil thoughts about the Irish. He said the other day, they asked him if this was a big game. He says, even if they beat us 103-10, I don't care because it's not an ACC game. Now, I got to tell you, when he said that, I did bust out laughing because I had checked the last 2 times these teams have played. The cumulative score is 110-3.
Oh.
It was right on. It was spot on.
So he knows what's going on.
He does. And he wants to beat Notre Dame in the worst way. I think, you know, if they can win out, because they're in a great spot. They've got Georgia Tech, and then they've got Miami. So they've got 2 of the players Pitt could get to the ACC championship game, and then win out, and then see where they're ranked with James Madison. So I'm going with the Irish. They find a way.
Big Ten Conference, USC and Iowa, game at the Memorial Coliseum in LA. Again, a significant game in the conference. Big for USC to keep their playoff hopes alive. You're up first.
I'm going to go with SC. I think that their receivers are as good, you know, at least on the field, maybe not on paper as Ohio State's, but, you know, and then Alabama has the Ryan Williams, a great receiver. But these 2 kids, Lane and Lemon, they are terrific. And now with the emergence of Miller, they are becoming a complete offense. And you better not be one-dimensional when you line up against Phil Parker in Iowa. Maybe the best game of the day. This may be the best game, but I like SC.
I said earlier, I think this is a tough spot for Iowa, coming off the emotional game against Oregon, having to go on the road. So I will take USC as well. Alabama and Oklahoma, talk about, again, the old Blue Bloods. And that's a massive Blue Blood game. Alabama at home against OU. And I get to go first. And, man, I think a year ago, Oklahoma beat Alabama. That game was in Norman.
Knocked them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, so I just think being in Tuscaloosa, I think Oklahoma could win this game. They had that big win at Tennessee recently. But in a very tight one, I do think Alabama finds a way.
You know, and I think I'm going to go with you. I think Alabama wins, but I got to tell you, Chad, early on in this game, you need to watch to see if Alabama is able to run the ball against that Oklahoma front. If they're able to do that, and then Ty Simpson gets play action and is able to throw the ball down the field, they're going to really pressure that Oklahoma defense. But if Oklahoma can stop the run and then hurry Simpson, they can win the game. So this is, you know, that there's a reason why it's the second best game of the day, and a reason why it's in front of a great game with SC and Iowa. But I like the Tide at home.
And the 10th and final game is Georgia and Texas. And again, just a massive game in the SEC.
Oh, it is.
This one will be played between the hedges in Athens. You get the final first pick.
You know, I'll tell you, one of the things in discussing the game around town this week, there's a lot of dislike for Arch Manning. And I'm saying, for what? He did, you know, I mean.
Because he was named the Heisman Trophy favorite without doing anything. That's exactly. And the fact that he has been, again, people, there's a backlash against publicity before you've done anything.
And I understand.
And it has nothing to do with him, I don't think. I think
that's my point.
But
it becomes personal the way they say it. It's got nothing to do with him.
No, it doesn't.
And you're 100% right. It's going to create, let's prove it.
Exactly.
You know, there's that. But it gets personal. That said, I really like the way Georgia plays. You know, I always have, they're tough defensively. They'll run the ball. Gunnar Stockton is kind of a lunch pail guy, comes there, runs, throws on the run. I like Georgia at home to get this done against Texas. This will be the third time now in the first 2 years Texas is in the league that they've played. And as you know, Georgia beat them in the regular season, and then they beat them in the championship game. Now they're at home. I like Georgia in this game.
For some reason, I like Texas. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know why.
Defensively.
I just think that Texas has started to find their way. I do think Arch Manning's been playing better football.
Yes.
They do have the good defense. So I do think, and Georgia, they struggled to beat Florida. It was not an easy game at the old outdoor cocktail party. So I think Texas, and with 2 losses, Texas has to win this game.
And weren't you saying, I don't remember if we were off air or on air, when you were saying Billy Napier was
he visited Georgia. So
the old Florida coach.
Yeah, and then they beat Texas earlier this year.
They did.
So maybe he has some secrets that he was trying to pass along to help his old buddy at Georgia.
Kirby.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. But those are the 10 games. And again, a lot of interesting games, and I hope that I got all 10 right.
I'm sure you did.
Actually, I hope I don't, because there are a few games I'm rooting because I want to see Pittsburgh beat Notre Dame. So there you go.
Well, you're going to have trouble with purgatory.
There you go. There you go. All right. So anything you want to add again, just to wrap up with Krasowski and anything else?
Yeah, no, other than, one time John did a root canal on me, and he was doing some things, and I said, so are we ready to get going here, John? He said, we're done. I didn't, you hear all those horror stories about root canal. I didn't even know he had done it. So, John is as good as it gets there, as in terms of the services he provides as a dentist. I've got a lot of history with John. He was a student at Newman when I was teaching there, so I've known him for the better part of 35, 40 years, and he's just a great guy and an outstanding dentist. So, and we're really pleased and proud to have John as a sponsor.
All right. Well, coming up next, we'll talk about the Group of 5 rankings, and we'll then follow that with the Power 4. So, again, lots to come here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
Where did the good old days go? From going to the old A&W drive-in to cruising the strip in town, all things change. Some things stay consistent. For almost 75 years, Redant Insurance in Rib Mountain has been providing quality service to its customers. One of the oldest agencies in the area. Your family and neighbors come here. Now it's your turn. Call 715-845-9204. Click redantinsurance.com or stop by 227501 Rib Mountain Drive. Redant Insurance Agency, our family helping yours.
Tommy's Express Car Wash at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston has the tools and experience to keep your car clean inside and out. Our wash packages let you pay for the services you want, including Tommy Garden Body Wax, wheel cleaning and tire gloss, an underbody flush and spot-free rinse. Give your vehicle the cleaning it deserves at Tommy's Express at 102 Bridge Street in Wausau and 1611 Schofield Avenue in Weston.
Kemp Service Center was established in 1951 and to this day is still family owned. That's 70 years of serving the Wausau area with the best in auto and truck repair. Kemp certified mechanics service all makes and models, including imports. Don't wait to the last minute to get your oil changed. Kemp's can get the job done in no time. Kemp Service Center is open Monday through Saturday at the corner of North 6th Street and East Wausau Avenue in Wausau.
You don't have to choose between personal, hometown service, and the latest banking technology. Brokaw Credit Union has it all. Whether you're looking to finance your first home, grow your savings, or get a new set of wheels, we're here to help. Check us out at brokawcu.com. It's hard to find great Italian food in Wausau unless you're familiar with Carmelo's Italian Restaurant. Established in 1986 by the Oliva family, 3 generations still strive to provide a family atmosphere and fine dining experience. Carmelo's is proud to serve authentic Italian made with fresh ingredients. Their recipes have been handed down from generation to generation. Reservations are recommended Tuesdays through Sundays, and they are closed on Mondays. Carmelo's Italian Restaurant, located at the base of Granite Peak on North Mountain Road, Wausau. Check them out at carmelositalian.com.
Sully's College Football page on 98.9 WXCO, WXCO.FM, mobile devices, and Alexa by searching WXCO Civic Media app and on YouTube, youtube.com and the 98.9 WXCO channel. Well, let's get into more rankings. The group of 5, top 20 in the group of 5. And these schools, and a lot of times they beat up on each other. It's very competitive, isn't it?
Oh, it really is, and we rank them to give them some recognition because these programs do not have the economic wherewithal to purchase the facilities and to pay the players that the Power Four do. And so what we've decided to do is to just break apart into the group of 5. And Chad, we've advocated for many years we should have our own playoff at this level because so few of these teams get in. And when they do get in, there's a lot of complaining about it because they're usually not ranked in the top 12.
Well, let's go with it. We'll take these in groups of 4.
Okay.
We'll start with number 20, Missouri State. They're 6-3. Toledo, 6-4 from the MAC. They're number 19. Number 18 is Old Dominion from the Sun Belt, 7-3. And Western Michigan from the MAC is number 17.
Yeah, and these teams had some interesting wins. Missouri State is out of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Very average team there, but yet they're doing much better in the Conference USA, and they won a big game against a team that you and I like, Liberty. They beat them last week. Toledo won a big game against Chuck Martin. They beat Miami of Ohio. Old Dominion, Troy has been playing a lot better, Alabama school. They smoked them. They beat them 33-0. And then Western Michigan had a big game within the MAC, and they took care of business with Ohio. So all 4 of these teams had very good wins within their conferences and for their programs.
Number 16 is East Carolina. We mentioned they have a big game against Memphis coming up today. They beat Charlotte last week. Number 15, Jacksonville State, who just got past UTEP 30-27. They're number 15. Boise State have been a bit of an up and down season for Boise. They're 6-3 after a bye. Number 14, and San Diego State. And again, we've talked about them and their revival this year. They're 7-2, but they did run into Hawaii last week. But San Diego State still number 13.
Yeah, they went out to the islands and forgot to take their defense. Surprising loss for them and how well Hawaii just handled them. Boise State had a bye week. They've got San Diego State, this big game there. And then, we mentioned East Carolina. Shockingly, they're favored. As you mentioned, they're 1.5-point favorite against Memphis. And then Jacksonville State is in the biggest game they've played this year. They got Kennesaw State. Both are 5-0, and this is kind of to get the inside track to win in Conference USA.
Number 12 is Hawaii after that big win against San Diego State. Number 11 is UNLV. They got back on the winning track after losing 2 in a row. They beat Colorado State 42-10. Number 11 are the Rebs. UConn, and you mentioned their big win against Duke last week. UConn and Jim Mora Jr., 7-3. Another significant game for them. I think Air Force may not, the record isn't what they normally are, but still a very good opponent. UConn, number 10, and Kennesaw State, 7-2 at number 9 after just getting past the Aggies of New Mexico State 24-21.
Yeah, so you've got the big battle between Kennesaw State and Jackson State on the horizon. UConn is interesting in that, they really have only one path to the tournament, and that path is to now I lost my train of thought here.
Can I move the microphone?
Yeah, well, UConn has to get in as an independent because they are an independent, and so it really limits their chance. But they are playing within this group of 5. They're playing at a very high level. Moore's got that going. So it'll be interesting to see as they go forward here, but a big win last week against Duke.
Number 8, Southern Miss from the Sun Belt after a win over Arkansas State, 49-21. Western Kentucky Hilltoppers are number 7. They had a bye, but they'll take on Middle Tennessee coming up next. James Madison, a program that we've been hearing more about because their coach is being talked about with some pretty big jobs. But James Madison 8-1 after beating Marshall last week, and they got App State coming up today. And then Memphis, number 5, they lost a massive game to Tulane last week. Now dropped to 8-2 on the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned John Summerall. John is being, talked about for a variety of jobs. Western Kentucky remains Western Kentucky. This, a good team this year, but a very good program. They are always competitive, and they win bowl games. They are always a factor in the conference play. So really good program. We're going to see if Memphis can right the ship here against East Carolina, and we're going to see what they're made of, because they're kind of odd man out in terms of getting into the tournament via the winning the American.
Speaking of righting the ship, Navy will have to right the ship as they've lost 2 games in a row, but they're still number 4 in the rankings in the group of 5. South Florida. Also from in fact, the American really, you talk about dominance. You got a lot of American teams in the top 5. In fact, all of the American teams in the top 5. South Florida is number 3. Tulane, as we said, beat Memphis 38-32 last week, is number 2. And North Texas is number 1.
Yeah, we listed them as the number 1 team in the group of 5, even though earlier in the year they got busted up by South Florida. It was one of those dyslexics games. It was 63-36. The numbers got inverted. But this is a really good team. North Texas, you remember a year ago, we were talking about them taking on Texas State, what turned out to be one of the best bowl games of the year. It was 30-20. So this is 27. This is a great team. Navy, Blake Harbaugh is back. And so we'll see if he can right the ship. And they're going to have to stop the high-powered South offense, as you alluded to. They've struggled stopping people. And that's because they're not staying on the field. They need to control the ball. So we'll see what happens there. But some really good and decisive games now in the group of 5, especially with the dominance of the American.
So that is the group of 5 top 20. Again, you can go back and get more information by going to Sully's collegefootballpage.com. Coming up next, we'll go to the group of 4. I should say the Power 4 and the top 25 as these teams battle it out for spots in the playoffs and conference championships as well. That's coming up next as we continue here on Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO.
The Mint Cafe, serving old-fashioned American comfort food in a cozy atmosphere. Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, your choice is the Mint Cafe. Call ahead for carryouts, deliveries to downtown Wausau, and catering is also available. Check them out at mintcafewausau.com.
Looking for a part for your vehicle? Look to Hilltop Auto Wrecking in Wausau. Hilltop Auto Wrecking can help you find just about any part you need for your car, truck, or SUV. They have a great selection of auto glass and tires with lots of sizes ready to go. Hilltop Auto Wrecking is always looking to buy vehicles, so if you're stuck with an older junker, they can haul it away for cash. Hilltop Auto Wrecking, family owned and operated for over 40 years at 237-934 Del Rio Road, formerly 6806 North 33rd Street, Wausau. Call 715-675-3258. Are you looking to furnish a new home, apartment, or cabin? Are you looking for quality clothing at a reasonable price? Well, if you are, be sure to stop at St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau. Make them your first stop, your one-stop shop for furniture, clothing, accessories, home products, and much more. And remember, St. Vincent de Paul in Wausau is more than just a thrift store. It's a local ministry meeting the needs of our community. Your purchases benefit those in need right here at home. So shop St. Vincent de Paul at 131 West Thomas Street in Wausau, where your purchases benefit your neighbors.
Since 1997, Mountain Bay Auto Care has been serving central Wisconsin with top quality and affordable car repair and service. With ASC certified mechanics. Stop by 5702 Stella Avenue in Schofield or call 715-355-8646.
The warmth of your home is about making memories with family and friends and enjoying life celebrations. At Mensner Hardwoods Marathon, they understand the importance of bringing warmth to a place you call home. For over a century, their fifth-generation family business has been creating beautiful woodwork for the home and office, just as they have for over 130 years. Mensner Hardwoods looks forward to providing you with elegant wood products to enhance the beauty of your home or office. Visit them at mensnerhardwoods.com. Mensner Hardwoods, timeless beauty for your home or office. The Eat Fresh Refresh doesn't stop at your local Wausau Subways. When the urge hits, make sure to stop by any of the 4 Wausau Subway locations at 1609 Merrill Avenue, 330 East Bridge Street, 1819 West Stewart Avenue, and 4300 Rib Mountain Drive in Walmart. Catering, remote ordering, curbside pickup, and Subway delivery all available. And make sure to use the Subway app when you need Subway. Subway with 4 Wausau locations.
Buck's Golf Shop for all of your golfing needs. Located at 903 Grand Avenue, Suite C8, Rothschild, Wisconsin, 54474 in the Bushka & Bushka Insurance Building on the east side. Specializing in Badger, Bucks, Brewer, and Hacker golf-related items. Green Tag sale is 30% off the retail price. Call 715-581-2646 or email wellsgolf@pcpros.net.
At People's State Bank, we think checking accounts are like SUVs. That's why we offer more features to fuel your lifestyle. The best part? You can open an account without leaving your driveway. Just visit bankpeoples.com today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And welcome back. It is Sully's College Football Page on 98.9 WXCO. Time now for the top 25 in the Power Four. And again, a lot of, knocking each other around. A lot of interesting teams, especially here at the bottom. And let's go with groups of 3 here. We'll start with number 25, Cincinnati. I was shaking my head, I have to admit, last week when you guys were talking about your picks. Yeah, Cincinnati's going to go into Utah. I'm thinking there's no way Cincinnati's going into Utah and winning that football game. And they didn't. It wasn't even close. But they're still number 25. Pittsburgh beat Stanford, is number 24. And Iowa coming off that tough loss again against Oregon, number 23.
Okay, and I've misdirected you, Chad. We should go to use the top 25 from the committee. So I sent you to mine, and that's all on Sully's College Football, the radio show. My bad. Because, I thought, how did I do that? Well, I didn't. If you look at it going down, the committee had Cincinnati 25, and then they have South Florida. You see that there?
I know. I'm looking at the sheet that you gave me. So, where do I go?
You go right here. I don't need that.
All right. Well, go with the bottom. All right. Okay. Cincinnati 25, South Florida 24, and Tennessee 23.
Yes. And so what I did, I listed there the teams that they have to play yet. So, since he has Arizona today, and, I want to say that South Florida has a game with Navy. And then the third one, Tennessee is kind of out, even though they're still being ranked by the committee. I don't think there's a path for them any longer to get into the playoffs.
All right. Number 22 is Pittsburgh. Number 21 is Iowa, and number 20, Louisville.
Louisville, of course, is pretty much a gone Goslin now. That loss last night kind of eliminated their possibilities. And then Pittsburgh and I believe it was Iowa. Mm-hmm. Those teams really are very, Iowa not so much anymore. But Pitt certainly is. If they get it done today, starting at 11 o'clock. We got 11 o'clock kickoff here. if they beat Notre Dame, they are in great position because they got Georgia Tech and then they got Miami, and so they can play their way right into the ACC championship and perhaps a berth into the college football playoff.
Number 19, Virginia, they really hurt themselves with a home loss to Wake last week. So they lost for the second time this year. Michigan is number 18 and USC number 17. The Michigan and USC seem to have been connected throughout much of the year.
Virginia, I think, is mathematically still alive, but I expect them to get eliminated. Today. I think that Duke will take care of business against them. SC is in a great spot. If they can win today and then they go get Oregon in a game that could be 3,000 to 2,800, and then find a way against their cross-line rivals, which is a problem. I mean, UCLA has beaten them.
Mm-hmm.
So SC is in a great spot. Michigan needs to take care of business and then beat Ohio State, and then the get smart syndrome of chaos will break out. If you remember that when Get Smart 80, when everyone's fighting chaos. Nonetheless, that would leave Ohio State with a loss, and Oregon would be effectively eliminated from the Big Ten championship game. So a lot more to be played in the Big Ten.
Number 16 is Georgia Tech. They had that tough loss against NC State a couple of weeks ago, so that hurt their hopes. Miami, number 15, despite a couple of, I would call, frankly, and number 14, Vandy. But how is Georgia Tech behind Miami when Georgia Tech beat Miami, right?
Yeah.
How does the committee put them? I mean, that makes no sense to me. That's, again, the human element. You would say, hey, Georgia Tech beat them, so they should be at the very least 15 in Miami. That's heads or tails.
Yeah, I think, and again, I'm not saying I agree. I think there may be some factor of Miami's win, against Notre Dame was a bigger win than, but Georgia Tech is fine because if you look at them, they have BC today, which they'll take care of business. Then next week they have Pitt. Yeah. And then the week after they have Georgia. So,
they went out there in good shape.
They really are. In fact, the Georgia win, I think most people would consider that to be a better win than Miami's win over Notre Dame. So Georgia Tech is fine. The committee at some point knows that. But nonetheless, it's a good question, Jed, and I really don't have a good answer.
And then we get to the bubble of the playoff. You got number 13, Utah, after that good win against Cincinnati last week. Number 12, BYU took a tumble. And number 11 is Oklahoma.
Yeah, since you went to Utah, and you were right about them, they didn't show up. They had won 7 in a row. But, I mean, man, they left the D and the O on the bus. BYU, my feeling on them. I think Kehlani Satake has done great work, and I'm not saying that throw him a bone. I'm saying it because I believe it. I just don't think that they have the same depth of talent as some of the teams that they have survived. But nonetheless, they're winning. And then Oklahoma is in, like Hussein says, the mother of all battles. They got that in the college football scene, going to Tuscaloosa to take on the Tide.
That's actually real quickly one of the things about Oklahoma now is that, they'll get these great opportunities. But in the old days, I think this Oklahoma team in the Big 12, they probably be, finish up 11-1 and be easily in there. But I mean, you give a little and you get a little. So in the end, I think that's a lot harder because everybody's killing each other in the SEC, all these programs.
And I know there was a lot of Big Ten chatter about you need to go to 9 games. You need to go to 9 games. Playing 9 games in the SEC is different than playing 9 games in the Big Ten because of the depth of the talent. And that's why I always said when the Big Ten yelled about them playing FCS before their rivalries, come on, man, look who they play to get here. So nonetheless, Oklahoma, you can look at it two ways. This is kind of a death knell, or you can see it as an opportunity for the cream to rise.
We will have the top 10 in the college football playoff rankings coming up next as we continue here on Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO.
Crab River Golf Course in Wausau is a unique 18-hole public course. The relaxed atmosphere and breathtaking Northwood scenery is sure to make your golfing day a satisfying experience. For membership information and tee times, call Crab River Golf Course at 715-675-3044.
France Propane at 1153 Foundry Street in Schofield is a local family-owned complete service company serving central Wisconsin for over 2 generations. France Propane is a value-driven company whose goal every day is to provide excellent service, maintain the highest safety, reliability in customer care, and competitive pricing. France Propane, service first, safety always. Check out France Propane at francepropane.com. For over 30 years, Webco has worked with corporations, schools, organizations on their apparel and promotional needs. Webco can handle small quantities to orders in the thousands with a fast turnaround. Webco of Wausau, 1405 West Thomas Street. This holiday season, experience the magic of Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker, presented by Central Wisconsin School of Ballet at the Grand Theater in Wausau. Join Flare Up, the Nutcracker Prince, and the Sugar Plum Fairy for an unforgettable journey through the land of sweets. With dazzling costumes, stunning choreography, and a cast of talented dancers, it's a holiday tradition the whole family will cherish. Performances are December 6th at 1:30 and 7 p.m. and December 7th at 1 p.m. Tickets available now at the Grand Theater box office. Don't miss the wonder of the Nutcracker.
North End Pub, cold beer, clever conversation, all stories cross-referenced for validity. If you're looking for a nice spot to hang with friends, North End Pub will do the trick. Stop in for thirst relief today. North End Pub, North 3rd Avenue, Wausau.
Big Fat Designs can give your company the cutting-edge look it needs to attract customers and stand out from the rest. From websites and print designs to logos and letterheads, Big Fat Designs is your effective and affordable marketing solution. E-commerce, online customer database, video and audio players, Big Fat Designs does it all. And the best part, you deal with someone locally to talk with, to meet with, working hands-on towards your success. Big Fat Designs in Wausau. Find out more online at bigfatdesigns.com.
Witness the difference at Newman Catholic Schools, where education is embraced by the Christian faith and students are held to a high standard of academic excellence. Schedule a tour and learn what it means to be a Newman Catholic Cardinal. Visit newmancatholicschools.com to learn more.
It's Sully's college football page on 98.9 WXCO. Time for the top 10. And again, it's more important now. As we get to mid-November, it's vitally important where you stand, because you now know that, hey, if we're in the top 10, if we keep winning, we're in pretty good shape. If you're not, then you have to have work to do. And when you get to the top 10, I mean, you look at this list, I mean, they're powerhouses from 1 to 10. And starting at the bottom with we'll go in groups of 2 here. Texas, number 10, Notre Dame, number 9. And again, both teams have lost twice, so there's still a lot of pressure on these teams, but they have put themselves in a position.
You know, there was a lot of conversation coming out of SEC land the last week or so about Texas, that they could lose to Georgia, but then beat A&M and be the first 9-3 team to ever get in, because they'd have wins over A&M and a win over Oklahoma. So they're saying that the winning part, you know, because if you're going to look at Notre Dame from the other perspective, 2 close losses. So nonetheless, Texas is a very interesting team here over the next few weeks. And, you know, we'll see what they can do tonight against Georgia. And then, you know, they've got in the middle there, they got Arkansas. And then they
By the way, real quickly, I remember, I think it was during the offseason, Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, was trying to sell the idea that a 8-4 team in the Big Ten conference should be good enough to be in the playoff. That they want to set up a system where 8-4 teams get in the playoff. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to see 4th place teams in the playoff. I mean, that's why we play the regular season. I mean, if you're finished fourth in the conference, why should you be winning? And again, I know the idea of, well, you got 10 teams in the NCAA men's basketball tournament, whatever it may be. And I frankly don't think that's right either. I'd rather have the team that does really well in a other conference who finishes first or second get the opportunity over a 10th place team in the Big Ten conference. But do you think that we're in danger of really watering it down to have 8 and 4 teams be in the playoff at some point?
I think when Petiti talks, if it's about revenue or if it's about TV insight, I am 100% on board, and I'm going to open my ears and shut my mouth. When he talks about some of the things he talks about regarding the purity of the college football game, no, he's an economic bottom line guy. And yeah, there's more money than for the Big Ten. He kind of hoodwinked the SEC to get them to play 9 games. I don't think that's in their best interest. Now, that said, I definitely think it's in guys like you and I's best interest. But no, I don't agree 8 and 4, and I don't agree 9 and 3. We only got 12 teams. Anyway, and then Notre Dame has got to win this game today. It's their last hurdle. And, Chad, I would say they need to win this impressively, because if Miami shows up at the end at 10 and 2 and they're head-to-head with Notre Dame to get in, how would you not give Miami the edge? They won the head-to-head.
Number 8, Oregon. Number 7, Ole Miss. Number 6, Texas Tech. And again, you talk about, the classic blue bloods. Well, these aren't the classic blue bloods.
Not really.
These
no.
teams have moved into the conversation.
Yeah, Oregon, I think right now is maybe the perception of them is a little higher than the actual talent skill sets of this team are. We're going to find out. That's just the perception of them I have. The reality is they keep winning. Yeah. So, and that's what you deal with. Ole Miss, Kiffin, he's like Peck's bad boy. He's always doing stuff. Now he's going to he's going to Florida. Oh, no, wait, he's going to elsewhere. Wait, now he's going to the Giants. You hear all these different things about him. And I don't know if he lives on distraction, if that's what fuels him, and he's able to keep the kids up to speed with that and focused. I don't know. And then Texas Tech, that is the best team that oil money can buy. I'll tell you that. They have spent tons of dollars, and they have what they call their $7 million D-line. They paid for these guys, and they are good. I watched them last year. They were last week, whether they dismantled BYU.
Then you got 3 SEC teams. You got number 5, Georgia. You got number 4, Alabama. You got number 3, Texas A&M. And Georgia and Alabama both have significant tests at home tonight. And Texas A&M, I think, has the easiest of the games. But 3 straight SEC teams, 3 through 5.
I may still have, I don't know about you, Chad, but I still may have some Indiana hangover. I think any one of those teams could beat Indiana. But I don't know that. And then I also think that Ohio State is quite capable of beating the 3 of those SEC teams, where, say, 5 years ago, that was not the case, and it's not just like the Alabama pundits like the Saban. No, it's not. It's NIL, and it's how the rosters and your depth are now dispersed. And it's, you mentioned the basketball. That's 8 guys. If you can go 3 deep, Tommy Wankoff used to always say, man, you go to your 8th guy, you got 60% of your starting lineup potentially out. They better be able to play, and I think so. In college basketball, that tournament remains the best tournament in all of sport, in my opinion. But you can do that there. In football, 8 and 4, Patina needs to go back and get his slide ruler out and start working on some new schemes for getting money from TV.
And then the top 2 are from the Big Ten Conference. You have number 2, Indiana, number 1, Ohio State. And I think for what you just said, that, I think Ohio State is earned it on the field. But, man, when we get to this point, there are so many teams that are capable of ultimately winning that championship.
They are. I mean, you may go by Texas Tech because of the perception of them as of yet, but that might not be right.
Right.
Ole Miss, I think people would not be shocked if they won it. Oregon, no. Notre Dame was there knocking on the door a year ago, and then you're talking about Texas is Texas. They're just Texas, like they like to say down there. I was getting gas once in the top of the state, and I said to the guy, man, it's flat here. Yeah, I can see all the way to Oklahoma. He said, that's all Texas, son. So there is that mentality. So I'm with you. Any one of these teams could emerge, and I don't think anybody would be like, what just happened?
Well, I tell you, it's getting more and more interesting. I know that you're ready for Notre Dame Pitt to start off. What other game are you looking forward to today?
Well, I think the three, they're right in a row with the Oklahoma-Alabama game is must-see. And then, tonight, Georgia and Texas is as good as it gets. But there's a lot of games sprinkled in there that I'm interested in seeing. For a guy like me, Kennesaw State and Jackson State, So there's plenty of things
You'll be kept very positively interested. So, hey, we'll have fun and we'll see you next week.
All right. Hey, thank you, Jed.
Sully's College Football page on WXCO.
WXCO 1230 AM, W255DN Wausau, streaming at bullfallsradio.com.